Yes, ladies and bees and gents, you did read that title correctly. I am asking the question, is terrorism wrong? Well, I know that some of you are probably shaking going, yes, but this is more from the anarchist's point of view. This has more to do with anarchism than just general social justice. But Um, before we start this, while even I would kind of think, no, it isn't justifiable. And I mean, if you're just thinking about it from what you've been conditioned to think terrorism is, and what it. So I'm going to extrapolate upon what terrorism is specifically. Terrorism is anything the state deems as terrorism, at least from where I'm sitting. So while, yes, there are cases of terrorism, and I will say that it is usually bad, anything that kills civilians is bad. But, like I said, the state is what decides what terrorism is. So an example in less recent history of terrorism that was not necessarily bad. However, I don't think it did anything particularly good, as it was essentially the start of a bourgeois revolution for the founding fathers, who were essentially elites who wanted to break off from British society. So taking a look at this, there is what I would call liberatory acts of terrorism that I can't think of off the top of my head. But something like I can't think of any real life examples off of the top of my head. But something that does, I don't know, property destruction, which anarchists are not opposed to, despite what ANCAPs will tell you. Actual anarchists are not opposed to property destruction, since we value the lives of people over property, and we also do not believe in private property rights. We do believe in personal property rights. So, yeah, if the Starbucks gets destroyed, we're not going to be losing tears over it. And while this would be an act of terrorism by the state, in a case where this doesn't injure anybody, where this doesn't hurt anybody, nobody is hurt, I would not consider it an immoral action. I would not consider it wrong. I would consider it a form of liberatory terrorism due to the fact that the state sees it as terrorism. Now, I wouldn't consider it terrorism on the personal level, since terrorism in most people's mind, which I think that if you were to use a proper definition of terrorism that did not revolve around the state, would always be wrong. But yeah, property destruction that does not harm anybody is not morally reprehensible. If you destroy a Starbucks, it is not morally reprehensible. People rebelling in a state like Saudi Arabia, while Saudi Arabia would consider it an act of terrorism, a liberatory act that is considered terrorism is not morally reprehensible, and I support anything that is liberatory. So therefore anything that kills innocent people intentionally, because obviously sometimes people get injured, but even then you should always try to avoid collateral damage. But obviously hurting civilians is wrong, and hurting people in any case where you don't have to or they aren't a threat to society is morally reprehensible. So, I would like to hear all of your thoughts on this. I mean, it would definitely be interesting. Of course, I know that there are going to be some conservative fuckwads who are going to say that, who are going to be my private property. So, I will check the comments and I will probably be ignoring a great deal of them that are just absolutely moronic. So, have whatever fucking kind of day you want to have, because I'm an anarchist. I can't tell you what to do. And I will see you all later.